85% of companies that outperform the market had internally promoted CEOs.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I wanna be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today we're talking about hiring for skill versus adversity quotient, and I'm here with Trevor from Inspired Methods. So, Trevor,
Hi, everyone.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Inspired Method does for customers?
Well, Inspired Method is a digital marketing agency in Edmonton. We help local small businesses with their SEO, with everything that is part of their digital marketing efforts. Because so many small businesses don't really understand what's happening with digital marketing nowadays, and they sometimes go down a wrong path, when really, if you use the same consistent tools that we're using here with Spurrell CPA, then you will win in the SEO game and get your business to the top of the Google rankings. So that's what we help them do, and it's really fun and exciting, and we love helping to see businesses win.
Right on,
Yeah.
right on. So, talking about hiring for skill versus adversity quotient, the quote that we have here is a Zig Ziglar quote, and it says, most people who fail in their dream fail not from lack of ability, but from lack of commitment.
Love Zig.
Yeah, and the statistic, 50% of Canadian businesses fail. And one of the three top reasons of why business owners suggest that they fail is because they don't have the right team.
Okay.
And the story that we have here is the business owners that they hire who they perceive to be the best skilled person, or they keep the person on their team that is highly skilled,
right,
to the detriment of having someone on the team with a good attitude.
Right.
So, Trevor, what are the questions you think these business owners should be asking?
Well, I think number one is it better to promote from within or hire outside talent?
Yeah, so generally I think it's the feel-good story to promote from within. And that's what I originally thought. But then as I dug into the research of that question, there was actually, stats to back that up, where, companies that outperform the market, there's one good study that Jim Collins did, and they saw that 85% of companies that outperform the market had internally promoted CEOs. So this isn't just a feel-good story, but it actually is, a predictor of long-term success from promoting from within.
Cool. So how does this reinforce hiring for attitude rather than skill?
So I believe that reinforces hiring for attitude rather than hiring from skill, because the people that you're hiring in the business, or the people that you're keeping on, if you want to grow your company, you have to be looking at progressing them through a leadership position. So if you're keeping someone on who's particularly skilled in a role, or bringing someone on who's particularly skilled on a role who has a bad attitude, you're limiting your growth, because at some point that person needs to move to a leadership position. They become a limiting factor. The amount of people that you have on the team that have no ability to grow or no ability to move into those leadership positions, the company can't grow with those types of people.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So what happens to the team when a highly skilled person has a bad attitude?
So it has a negative effect of not just not just your interaction with that person as a business owner, but it has the effect of that's to the detriment of the team. So you start to have to ask yourself that although this person has a high skill, what is their effect on the rest of the team?
Right.
Maybe they're 10% better at the skill that you want them to be at. Yeah. But they're making everybody else's day 5% worse, and there's 10 other people on the team. Right. Now you have to realize that it's not just their skill, it's their interaction with the rest of the team. So you can't look at that relationship in a vacuum, because they're contributing to the overall well-being of the team.
Right. So tell me, what is the adversity quotient? What is that?
So adversity quotient, we talk about attitude being, you have a positive attitude.
Yeah.
But there's also something that has been coined the adversity quotient, where it's not just having a positive attitude, but it's the ability to overcome difficult situations.
Okay.
So someone gets confronted with something that, there's a challenge, a customer complaint, or technology being down, or things taking longer than you thought they would take, or having to switch directions. And some people have an inherently high adversity quotient. It's not about a skill. It's about they run into difficulty and they just keep going. And other people, they run into that adversity and they stop. So when you're looking at, you have skill and you have that positive attitude, but do you also have that adversity quotient too? That's a big part of it, and it really should be recognized as a business owner when you're looking at your team and evaluating, who's going to help you.
Cool. So, dumb question, right? Should you expect things to go wrong in your company?
Yeah, things are 100% going to go wrong. And a dumb question, we feel like it's a dumb question, but believe it or not, we get these business owners and they think that they've done something terribly wrong, or they're a bad business owner. They lose confidence when things go wrong, when that is really the game. Things are going to go wrong, and we should expect that things are going to go wrong. And that doesn't mean that your plan was bad or you're a bad operator. That's just part of the game.
That's life. Things happen.
100%.
You're above ground, and things are going to happen.
Yeah,
that's just how it goes. So, how does having people with high adversity quotients help navigate difficult times?
Yeah. So, you can have that person with a high skill level, but if that person doesn't have a high adversity quotient, they're going to give up. And, you have to ask yourself, when you're bringing someone onto the team, do they have a high skill, but do they have that high adversity quotient? Let's just say you're bringing on in your business, Trevor, let's say we're bringing on a programmer or a web developer, and they're a great web developer. Would you rather want the person who's a 10 out of 10 web developer, but they're a 1 out of 10 on the adversity quotient, and they give up when things go bad? Or would you rather someone who's an 8 out of 10 at a web developer, but they're a 10 out of 10 on the adversity quotient? They just won't give up. If it goes wrong, they'll keep going. They'll go around, they'll go left, they'll go right, they'll go under. They're just going to keep at it. And I think when you ask most business owners, when you put it to them that way, they start to realize that, man, I'd rather a little less skill and a little more resolve or adversity quotient.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, next question for you is, will the skills required to remain competitive change over time?
Yeah. So, sometimes we hire people on and we think that they're good at this skill today, so they'll be good forever.
Right.
But the problem is a lot of the skills that we have today, when we look at 10 years from now, we might be doing things completely different. Whether you're doing, small business marketing, or whether you're doing, small business accounting, the way we did things 10 years ago is not the way we do things today. And I fully expect that the way we do things 10 years from now are going to be different.
Yeah,
so
completely.
The skills that you need, they're going to change over time.
That makes a lot of sense. So what happens when you hire people who are uncoachable?
So when you hire people who are uncoachable, when those required skills change, they don't change with the times. You can't coach them to change. Right. So they might be really good now, but they're not going to be good in the future. And we go back to eventually the people that you bring on today are the people that need to be in a leadership position tomorrow if you want to grow.
Yeah.
So if they're not coachable, they're not going to be part of your team later on, and you're consistently bringing in, C and B level employees and trying to coach them up to A, and you realize you only have so many spots on your team, and that person's never going to be in a leadership position because they're uncoachable, even if they're skilled in what we need today.
Yeah, some people get stuck in a rut and they say, this is how we've always done it, and this is how it's going to work today, and they don't move along with the times and really advance their skills to really help and move along with what's happening in the world today.
Yeah, for sure.
And so my next question for you is, what happens when you hire people committed to lifelong learning?
Yeah, so it's one thing when they're coachable, which is beneficial, and you want people who are coachable because they can change with the times and adapt to the times and learn new skills. But when you hire people who are lifelong learners, these people can learn the skill sometimes without even the coaching required.
Right.
They're proactive in going out and finding the information they need and finding the solution when circumstances change. So, you want people who are coachable, but even the next level is the people who are just lifelong learners, and they find the solution before you even know the solution. And those are the types of people that you really want on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I could just see that, really helping out any organization, having somebody who is just curious and committed to learning the next level and going to the next level. So they're always bringing that to the team. And, like JFK said, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
So that would just lift up the whole level of the entire team.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
For sure.
So will people with a high adversity quotient be better equipped to adjust to change?
Yeah, generally those people who, who can persevere through difficult situations. The same person who perseveres through a customer complaint or technology being down, or those are the same people when you have to make a change. They roll with the punches. It's the same skill. Adjusting to change and dealing with difficult circumstances. It's kind of if you're good at one, you're usually good at the other one too. So I would, favor those people with that adversity quotient, not only because they can deal with difficult situations, but they're going to be able to deal with the inevitable change that's going to come.
Yeah. So are people with high adversity quotients more likely to progress into a leadership role?
Yeah. I mean, this is what it all goes back to. At the end of the day, you get that person with that high adversity quotient. They're not going to give up the first time that things get difficult. And then when things change, they're the people who are going to adjust with those changes. So the people who are going to have more longevity in your organization. They're going to be more liked within your organization too, because they don't lose their top every time something goes wrong or there's a little bit of change. So that person is that adversity quotient. Those are the people who are going to stay with you a long time. They're going to change with the times. They're not going to get too down when things get rough, and they're ultimately going to be people who progress to the leadership roles and really drive the growth of organizations.
I do have one more question though.
Okay.
Is there a way for people who have maybe a low adversity quotient to move up levels in their adversity quotient?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's something that you can work on. I think that the important part the first part about maybe taking off that limiter is just to educate them on this. Just when you repeat it, we repeat it as business owners and say we'd rather hire people with adversity quotient. We'll say that to your employees too. And once they can get the connection in their own logic, they start to say, well, yeah, if I ran a business, I wouldn't want to hire someone who, every time they ran into a difficult situation, as soon as they make that connection for themselves, it's like any form of influence. If you can get them to come to that conclusion themselves, all of a sudden they become the solution. Yeah. So I do think people can progress to that skill for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think that's what we have here today. Thanks for tuning in. As always, hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. And if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments below and we'll address them in a future video. Thanks very much.